our new video series, Ringgold Rapid Responses. I am Patricia Klein, historian of the Ringgold Band. In this video series, we will meet members of the Ringgold Band and Ringgold New Horizons Band and get a glimpse of their lives. Welcome Ringgold Band member Carol Schwanger. Hello.
Hi.
And Carol, what section of the band do you play in?
I play the bassoon, so you could say it's a bassoon section, but very often what people do is put all the instruments with similar reeds together, and they just call us the double reed section. So at the Ringgold Band, that would include oboes and bassoons. Oboes playing higher pitches and bassoons. Hey, can you spell bassoon? If you can, you know the kind of pitches that I play.
And Carol, how long have you been with the Ringgold Band?
I should have counted it up. This is hard to say because when I first moved to Reading, it was in 1974. I had just finished my graduate work, and I have a master's in bassoon performance. So I came to Reading looking for work, and my first job was working at Kutztown University. So the work that I really was interested in was performing, and the Ringgold Band was available, and they could use another bassoon player to spell out their regular people, so I became a substitute. And that lasted for several years until I got married and moved to Boyertown. So that would have been about 3 years. And then I came back in the Ringgold Band maybe, 5 or 6 years ago when the regular bassoonist was about to retire.
So you've done double duty.
Double duty, I guess, yeah. I kind of followed the band in all those years in between and played with other groups.
That's actually a very common theme among our band members, that they've come and gone a couple times. And do you remember your first gig or most memorable gig with the band?
Yes, I can remember a number of them. I'll just mention 2 of them. One is really a rehearsal. So when I decided I would like to play with the band, the rehearsals were quite different than they are today. There was a large hall, like some of your center city buildings would have stores on the first floor, apartments on other floors, and then the top floor would be open so that it would be used by clubs or union meetings or social events connected maybe with a nearby fire hall, whatever. There are a number of buildings like that that still exist, and that's where Ringgold rehearsed. They had full use of a hall on, I believe it was on either South 4th or South 5th Street. This would have been in the mid-70s. And it was quite an experience for me. I was coming from a large graduate program with concert halls and practice rooms, and everything was big. It was in Texas. And now here is this band all crowded into a fairly dark upper room, you might say, and many of the people in there were, I hate to say the word because I'm there now, elderly, but boy, could they play. And the conductor was Walter Gear. So it was really different. In those days, some people actually smoked cigarettes in the band hall and other refreshments. And so it was quite an eye-opener, but needless to say, I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed the people. They were welcoming to me, and I enjoyed playing good band music. It was very hard to read the marches in those days with the light being what it was and the tiny little notes. But so that was one. Another one was there was a park down by the Schuylkill River in the area known as Riverfront. Like if you're on the bypass, you'll see an exit called River Road. Well, it was tucked way down in there, and I was new to Reading. Well, I could not find this park. We were going to play a job, and I was all over the place on a few back roads on this side of the river, on that side of the river. I didn't know what was going on. because there were no GPSs in those days, and most of the people in the band were regulars, so they kind of said, "Oh yeah, we'll see you at the gig." I did not have good directions. I eventually made it, and very sheepishly climbed onto my chair. But I think that's a good reason for being a person who's able to sit on the outside toward the audience. You can get in and out pretty easily in some gigs. So those are the two I remember.
I think that's happened to all of us. There was one church out literally in the middle of nowhere. I have no idea. And then there was a detour. But that's, again, there were no cell phones and no GPSs, and you're looking on your map at this detour going, where on earth is this church? And of course, there's no one around to ask, and you're just driving in and hoping that you
But it's a very anxious time because musicians want to get everything right. They get upset. I do anyway. If I play like one note wrong, I say, "What the heck did you do?" It might be one out of several 100,000 notes, but I'll go home and worry that I played that note wrong or out of tune or whatever it is.
I think we all do that. So what is your present and past occupation?
When I first got out of graduate school, I looked for a job in higher ed, and that's how I got to Kutztown University. It was a part-time job teaching in their laboratory school, which those things are almost a thing of the past now, I think. Elementary schools connected with university programs. But the opportunity to become full-time at Alvernia came up fairly soon because they were Alvernia College at that time was starting a music major, and they needed a person to teach the upper level courses, harmony and conducting. That's a laugh. But anyway, I did it. And orchestration and music literature, things like that. So I enjoyed that and eventually stayed at Alvernia, became Alvernia University, and as of now, I am in my 44th year full-time, mostly doing music things at Alvernia University.
Can you tell us a little bit about your family and your life outside the Ringgold Band?
Okay. I am married to Vern Schwanger, and we've been married for 44 years. So a lot happened in 1976. But we have 3 children, and they are all married, and they do not live in the area. And we have 9 grandchildren. So I'm going to circle back in a minute to how Vernon and I met, because it's a good story. But just to fill you in a little, Vern is a longtime sound provider in the Berks and Montgomery County area. So he specialized in outdoor events, providing sound, scenic river days, concerts at the Reading Band Shell, concerts for Reading Pops, a lot of carnivals for fire companies. He also specialized in installing systems in churches and some schools. And he did such a good job in the churches that most of them are still using his system, and they don't need him, to buy anything more. So, but anyway, he's basically retired at this point. Our children, the oldest one is an industrial engineer. The middle one, band director, high school band director, and he loves his job. Well, they all do. And the third one is a PhD in chemistry, teaching at a college in Ohio. And she is helping to make the percentage of women in STEM fields higher, but she's also a great musician. So I'm going to tell you how Vernon and I met. Remember, I was new to Berks County. I was new to Pennsylvania. I grew up in New Jersey. So I was looking for work, and the Pottstown Band was in existence at that time, a band that operated in a similar manner to Ringgold in this upper Montgomery County area. And many of the musicians were from the Reading area. And it was a very good band at the time. just a little bit before I came, they even had a full chorus that would perform with them. They called it the Pottstown Band Glee Club. So there was some recurring jobs, quite a few. And one of them was to be at the old Pennhurst State School, which, if you're not familiar, was one of the old-fashioned large institutions for people with mental and other challenges. So I got a call from a friend of mine, whom some of you may know, Jimmy Michael from Michael's Music Studio. And I knew Jimmy and his family because one of the jobs I scratched around to get was teaching private lessons at his music studio. So lo and behold, the Pottstown Band bassoon player did not want to go to the Pennhurst job. Well, I didn't know what Pennhurst was. I was taking any job I could get. So Jimmy took me on the gig, and luckily we were early. Maybe it's not luckily. But I walked into the auditorium, had to hold my nose. And quite a number of the residents were interested in trying to carry my instrument. Most people know that I don't let anybody carry my instrument, not even my husband. So, and I had long hair. They were interested in that. And I think they were all guys and they were just trying to be nice. But I said to myself, you know what? I got to get up on the stage. Nothing was on the stage but some chairs and a bunch of cords all over the place. And somebody who looked to be about my age, a guy, and seemed to be kind of friendly. So I just walked up to him like I knew him, which I didn't, and started talking to him so that I would be safe. And that turned out to be Vern. So we always say that we met, and we shouldn't say this, but sometimes we say we met in Crazy House or the Looney Bin, or that's certainly politically incorrect, and I wouldn't say that except to tell you what it was like at the time.
Quite an interesting story.
Yeah.
So Carol, when we get back together as the Ringgold Band, hopefully in the near future, is there one song in particular you wish to rehearse and perform again?
I have a particular favorite, and I have to give Chuck credit because he programmed it for us, and that is Variations on a Korean Folk Song by John Barnes Chance. And we've played that recently, and there's some real favorite spots of mine in there, including the temple blocks, believe it or not. I love that sound. You can play a melody on temple blocks.
Incantation and Dance is another one by the same composer that has
exactly. That's a great piece also.
Yeah.
And most of the marches I like, but you and I being people that get the most back time, especially you, Patty, it does wear you down. But I like playing the marches, and something that I could actually do without would be some of these really old opera overtures.
The chestnut.
Yes.
That's what they refer to as the chestnut.
Yeah.
Glorified orchestra transcriptions, as you and I know. And yeah, I'm with you there. I'm like, can I have something actually written for my instrument? Thank you very much.
Right. They're always giving us the cello parts or the viola parts, and it's just, what?
Yeah, well, those instruments weren't even written for the current horn. They were written for E-flat, alto.
Oh, great. Oh, you guys struggle with so many things in your parts.
Well, it's been very interesting. Is there anything you want our Ringgold Band fans to know?
Well, I want the fans to realize that they are hearing something that's an American treasure, and that is the American Concert Band. I don't think there's anywhere in the world that you could have the vibrancy of community bands like you do here in the U.S. We need your support, we love your support, and we appreciate all the support that we've already gotten. And we're trying to keep somewhat current, but not lose the wonderful history that band music has in America. I would like to credit our former director, Jim Seidel, for making the band into the expansive group that it is today, and credit our current conductor, Chuck Eversole, for how particular he is about getting the music just right and getting the best out of the performers. So come on out. As soon as we can play, we will play.
That is very true. So let's give a big hearty thanks to Carol Schwanger for sharing her time with the Ringgold Band and Ringgold Band patrons and audiences. I am Patricia Klein, historian of the Ringgold Band, and that was another episode of Ringgold Rapid Responsive. Bye.